It's time for another Dice Tower review with Randy White and Mark Streed.
Hello folks, welcome to Board Game Corner. I'm Mark.
And I'm Randy.
This week we're taking a look at Specter Ops, where hunters are trying to track down an agent.
Specter Ops is brought to you by Nazca Games and Plaid Hat Games. It plays 2 to 5 players, ages 9 and up, and it takes about 1 to 2 hours to complete this deadly game of espionage and cat and mouse.
That's right. So let's go try to find that agent. Hey, it's Randy.
It's not me.
Hunters, be aware. The terrorists of Ark seek to plunge our species back into the nightmare we originated from. They will not rest until humanity once again teeters on the brink of self-inflicted extinction. Your work will be instrumental in assuring this world stays united, working towards the single goal of off-planet travel and exploration. In the game of Specter Ops, one player is an Ark agent who has just infiltrated Raxon Global's experimental security facility in an attempt to gather information and sabotage the program. The other players are Raxon hunters, genetically or mechanically enhanced humans, tasked with hunting down Ark agents and nullifying the threat they pose to Raxon. First, decide which player will play the Ark agent. The agent then secretly selects one of 4 possible characters. The agent's objective is to have his or her agent complete 3 of the 4 mission objectives and reach one of the escape points before time runs out, or the hunters find them first. The rest of the players will be Raxon hunters, selecting from the 4 available characters. Each hunter does not get equipment cards, but they do have built-in abilities. We will cover a 3-player game in this overview, and then cover some of the differences in the 4 and 5-player game at the end. So, at the start of the game, the agent will secretly choose to be one of the 4 agent characters. We have Blue Jay, Spider, Orangutan, or Cobra. The agent will not reveal his character until he is first seen by a hunter. The agent then selects 3 tech cards to aid them in their mission. These cards will help the player in stealth and power moves, and there are even some smoke grenades for good measure. Some of these equipment cards can only be used by a specific character, indicated by the icon in the bottom right. Next, the agent will randomly determine the location of the 4 mission objectives. The agent will roll a 6-sided die to determine which mission objective to pursue in Section 1. The agent locates the objective in Section 1 with the same number as what he rolled and circles it on the movement sheet. Then places a Raxon mission token side up on the corresponding location on the game board. Then repeats this for the remaining 3 mission objectives. So the agent enters the game at grid coordinates N1. The agent will secretly track their path along the board on the movement sheet. He or she can move up to 4 spaces in any direction, recording each turn along the way. Before or after moving, the agent may use one of their equipment cards, chosen during setup. The text of an equipment card describes its effect. Equipment cards have a number of charges on them, indicating how many times the card can be used per game. After equipment card is used, the agent marks that card's initials down next to the movement coordinates on the movement sheet. The hunters arrive on the scene in their advanced vehicle. Place the Occupy Vehicle card to the side of the game board and place the vehicle token on space K17. The vehicle is equipped with a motion sensor. If a hunter is in the vehicle and instead of moving the vehicle, the hunter player may use the motion sensor. When using the motion sensor, if the agent moved 3 or more spaces on their last turn, they must announce which direction they are located relative to the vehicle using the compass on the game board. The vehicle is capable of moving up to 10 spaces along the main roads. Upon exiting the vehicle, the hunters start their search, moving up to 4 spaces in any direction on each of their turns. They each use their special abilities to try and locate the agent. The Beast has enhanced senses, brutal strength, and quadrupedal movement, enabling him to sniff out the agent. The Puppet has control relay and remote sensors allowing him to remotely control the vehicle. The Prophet has mind reading, precognition, and postcognition. He can see glimpses of the future and what is hidden in the past. Finally, the Gun has sharpshooting, quick draw, and sniper shot. She's best at what she does. If the agent ends their move on a space that is visible to a hunter, the agent is seen and must place their figure on that space. If the agent moved through one or more spaces that were visible to a hunter but didn't end their move on a visible space, they must place their last seen token and their figure on the last visible space. If the agent is seen by one or more hunters when they begin their move and then moves out of sight, they must place the last seen token and their figure on the last visible space. If a hunter tracks down the agent and they are fully visible, then their figure is placed on the board. The hunter may then attempt to attack the agent. To attack the agent, roll the six-sided die and count out the number of spaces away the agent is from the attacking hunter. Roll a 1 is an automatic miss. Otherwise, the agent is hit on a roll equal to or greater than the number. The agent then records the damage on their movement sheet. The agent wins the game if they complete 3 objectives and escape. The hunters win if they defeat the agent by bringing him or her down to 0 hit points or by preventing them from completing his mission and escaping before the end of the 40th round. Here are some of the differences when you have a 4 and 5 player game. In a 4-player game, the agent receives 5 tech cards, 2 additional hit points, and all the objectives have secret locations on the board until they are completed. When playing with 5 players, 1 player will play as the Arc Agent, and the other 4 players will play as Raxon Hunters. However, one of the hunters will be a traitor and will secretly be on the agent's side. All right, what do we think of this game? I love this game. Yeah, I think it's my favorite game of 2015. The components, the artwork, the theme, it totally sucks me in and won't let go. What didn't I like? Can't think of anything I didn't like. You know, the one thing is when you play the 5-player game where there's a traitor, I really like that aspect, but I still have trouble knowing when's the perfect time to come in as the traitor if it's me. So there's a little bit, iffiness there, and how the agent might communicate and say, hey, now's a good time, without letting everybody know. So if there's one thing that is iffy for me, that might be it. But other than that...
So you're confessing that you were the traitor then.
I was the traitor.
Despite his Twitter or tweets, it was not me, it was him.
Me. But still.
Mark was very excited about this game, and it's like every night for 2 weeks he's going, can you come over? We want to play Specter Ops.
That's right.
So,
yep.
And to support what he's saying, I actually ended up liking it much more than I expected to. When I first read...
I'm very surprised. I didn't think you would like it as much.
I thought, okay, this is a game. I'm not super big on cooperative games because sometimes they just don't feel like you have a lot of autonomy.
Right.
I think as a semi-cooperative game where you have one agent and potentially a traitor, and then you have up to 3 hunters hunting them down, the collaboration between the hunters is really quite good.
And that's one of the things I really like is the collaboration with the hunters. I actually prefer playing the hunter over the agent just because I love that aspect of syncing up with everybody and, everybody's discussing, and it just adds, it's just so much fun.
And the thing that Specter Ops does well that I think many other cooperative games don't do quite as well is it avoids the movement by committee. Yes, which I really dislike. You
definitely can do things independently.
Right.
Yeah.
And there isn't this, okay, you do this and you do this and you do this. I mean, there might be a little bit of that planning, but the fact is you never feel like you're obligated to take a particular course of action because of the rest of the group. It's very interactive, and people say, well, how about if I go here? And everybody says, well, sounds like a good idea. So there's an open playing field, a lot of stuff to do there.
Yeah, and the little minis, all the components are so cool, right? And I love the aspect that there's this idea of jumping in and out of the car, right? To go find and use the car scanner to explore, like motion sensor to find, where was the agent 2 turns ago for like the Prophet is another really cool. And I actually think, as much as I like playing the Beast, I think the Prophet is probably my favorite character.
They do a really good job balancing not only the different characters on the hunter side, but also also the powers of the agent. And this is the thing I really have to give them credit for. There's three key things. Mark's mentioned the theme. The theme is very good, and in fact, as you're playing the agent, you do have this sense of claustrophobia or impending doom or being captured or anything like that. So you feel them breathing down your neck. They do really good on that. The balance between the various players and powers, I think, is quite well done. You don't feel like, despite I think some people have said that one of the characters, or one of the agents, is overpowered, but I really don't think that's the case.
We haven't got that sense at all.
Yeah.
I mean, we've played multiple games, and Blue Jay has won, but then we've found her and destroyed her several times, and maybe it's the people playing, just depending on who you are, you don't use her as effectively. But you were talking about the abilities, right? The thing that I find really cool is that at first I thought, oh man, the agent has all these things they can do. They have multiple equipment cards and stuff. I'm like, and the hunters don't have any of that.
Yeah.
Well, the hunters have abilities on their card because they're genetically and mechanically enhanced.
Right.
So they don't actually need special equipment, which is really cool, and their abilities all work really well, and especially cohesively.
Yeah, and that's key. When you're playing the hunters, you're going to have to work together to kind of corner or determine where the agent is and then track them down. As the agent, one of the most important things you could do is choose the right powers and then choose the right time to invoke those powers.
Exactly.
And I found that's the key is, you wish you had about 7 cards instead of just the 5 you have.
Definitely. No doubt.
But it's very key in saying, look, I'm going to wait till they're really close, and then I'm going to use the 6 space movement card and jet out of there, or I'm going to wait till they're guarding a particular road, and I'll use the stealth card so I can sneak past them, and they can say, well, he hasn't crossed here yet, so he must still be north.
And that's another thing about that with the I really like how well the game scales from like a 2-player game to a 5-player game, how it evolves and changes, and like the points that all the missions that the agent has to do are suddenly hidden when there's like a 4-player game. So the game scales really nicely for multiple player counts.
And I didn't hate the that's probably too negative. I actually found that the 5-player version where you're playing with a trader wasn't distasteful to me. There are games like Dead of Winter, and this is going to be blasphemous to many of you, where I find that the hidden objectives or the individual objectives kind of undermines my desire to collaborate. Okay. But this was still a matter of, okay, I feel like collaborating with everybody, even though I know one of them is a traitor. I just have to be very careful about what everybody's saying. One thing I also want to give them kudos about is that, then this contributes to the theme, is the artwork on the board, I think, contributes to the feel of you being in a shadowy environment, a city space. And they've done a good job because, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but the numbers, the coordinate numbers, are a little bit raised and they're glossy. So in general, in most environments, you can see, even in the dark areas, what coordinate that is. So
and you get the real sense of light and shadow.
You do.
And it's just really cool.
So you feel like you're hiding behind something as the hunters are approaching.
Yeah. So big kudos. I love this game. I'm giving it a solid 4.0 out of 4 corners.
Now, before I give mine, I want to say a few things that I didn't like about it. Because Mark's not going to say any of those things. Okay, one of the things I would like to have seen is a little bit more instructions in the rule book about specific cases, maybe give specific examples, because we had several situations where there was some ambiguity about rules.
We did have the advantage of having Emerson's ear, which I could easily text him and find out.
So I would have liked to have seen some more visual examples of whether certain powers were purely orthogonally spaced, or you could also move them diagonally, like placing the mine, for example. Can you place it 4 spaces away diagonally, or only? No, is it 2 spaces away? 2 spaces away, but can you do it diagonally or just orthogonally? So there were examples like that. In fact, one of the players said she would like to have an extra page or 2 for an FAQ, for a question sheet. So that's one of the things.
But all that stuff, I've seen a lot of that on BGG. You can find out a lot.
Right. But I would have liked to have seen it spelled out as part of the rule book. And then one thing that, and when Mark and I have talked about, what's that? You know what I'm going to say? Is that I have not been impressed with with various board games trying to incorporate technology like the iPad.
Right.
I didn't like the way Golem Arcana did it. I felt like that was distracting. I didn't particularly care for it in the way that XCOM did it. This is a game that screams for an app.
Yes.
That it would make it so much easier for the agent to keep track of where he's been, also determine whether or not anybody's seen him. In fact, we finished a game the other day because somebody moved into a space and he didn't realize someone was going to see him. So those would be very helpful. So those are the things I would like to see improved on this game.
Well, and I can tease a little bit. I did talk to Emerson, and there might be something in the works app-related for this game.
Yay!
No promises, but it sounds like you might be working on something.
So you're saying he'll have it done by October. I'm looking forward to that.
Not at all. No, Emerson, I did not say that.
Emerson, whenever you do get it done, we'll look forward to that.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
it will be a great addition to a great game.
Yeah.
So personally, I give it a 3.5 out of 4.
It should be a 4.
And for a game like this, and that's for this type of game, and even though it's not the kind of game I necessarily gravitate to, I respect for this type of game, I think you've done it very well.
Yeah.
The balance, the
just
theme,
amazing.
has quite good.
Yeah, and it's easily going to be on my top 10 list for the year. Easily.
I can believe that.
Yep. All right, folks. Well, thanks for joining us this week. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.